Perfect. Now, I mentioned what do we do if the client is not able to define the emotion, and we want them to define the emotion at least to some extent. They can define it in their own ways, but it still needs to be defined, right? It can't be good or bad. So what I do is I use a model with the client called FLIP. Anyone who has heard of the FLIP?
I heard it in your True Talks.
The True Talks. Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's say I ask the client to define the problem. The client says, I feel bad about something that's happening in my life when they give me the answer. Now they've told me bad. So I tell them that, when you're telling me bad, can you give me a bit more details about what do you mean by bad? And the client says, I don't know. Bad means bad, right? So I would say, all right. So in order to understand emotions, we use a particular model. Would you like it if I share that model with you? I've never had a client saying no to me to this question. The moment you say, can I share something with you? Every client wants to say yes. So the moment the client says yes, I tell them, all right. So I'm going back to the screen, huh? Just a second. I'm just sharing the screen. So I tell the client that the model that we use is called FLIP. Now the model is divided in 3 parts: source, emotion, and solution. Now I tell the client that to understand this model correctly, let me know if I were to ask you what are the different sources of problem that we can have. And this is the question that I'm asking all of you now. What do you think would be the source of a problem?
Our thoughts.
So our thoughts will be I. So that will be I.
Failures?
Yes, I.
Okay, I.
What else?
External factors, situations, or people.
Correct. So other people.
Third is situation.
Third is situation. And then there are times when I am not able to assign responsibility to myself, others, or situation because things are related to future. Right? So would it be fair to say that no matter what problem we have, it will eventually boil down to one of these 4 sources? Now, when I have made a mistake, what do I feel emotionally?
Guilty.
Guilt.
All clients are able to give you this answer. They don't really need immense theories on emotions. इतना generally सारे clients बता देते हैं. If others are responsible for the problem, then what do I feel generally?
Anger.
Anger.
If the situation is responsible for the problem,
Anxiety.
Hopelessness.
Helpless.
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 and if it's a problem about the future,
Hopeless.
Hopeless.
So ये I में worthless भी आ सकता है नितिन?
एक सेकेंड ना.
I think I में तो doubt भी आ सकता है ना, that lack of self.
नहीं, so when we say I have a problem because I made a mistake, people would not say that I doubt myself. So it will be either guilt or regret,
Regret.
right? And they may say that as a
But
result
don't
of
I
this
start
guilt.
doubting myself?
Can you say that again?
When I make a mistake, doubting myself after them making a mistake.
Correct. So that's the later effect of it. So the
Regret.
mistakes come first, regret or guilt comes next, and then comes the doubt ka feeling, right? And guilt, regret, worthless,
Shame.
shame, yes.
Disappointment, other people.
Now, what is the purpose of guilt? Why do we
Yeah.
feel guilty?
Make you realize that you have done something
And
wrong.
To learn something from that incident.
Perfect. So the guilt is
you
basically.
are capable.
Can you say that again, please? Uncapable. All right. But uncapable is not really the objective of guilt. The guilt is basically trying to help us understand that we have made a mistake and that we should not repeat the same mistake again. Now, if we lack the capability, obviously we also need to develop the capability so that we don't repeat the same mistake again. But technically, the purpose of guilt is to stop us from making the same mistake again. True?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what is the solution?
Taking responsibility.
And
Learn from that mistake and don't repeat it again.
perfect. So after you take responsibility, learn from that mistake. And then application of that learning in future situations so that you don't repeat the same mistake again.
I think you'll be sending us this now. We're not writing it.
That's okay.
We need not write. Okay.
Clear till here? Though if you would like to write, I would suggest write it down, because when you have written it down, it kind of becomes, it kind of gets egged in your memory. Clear till here?
Yeah.
Now, when others are responsible for the problem, I feel angry. But what is making me feel anger?
Why they are not doing the way I
Expectation.
want.
Expectation.
So why they are not doing what I want, my expectations are not being fulfilled. So would it be fair to say that because I am not able to accept the other person for what they are or who they are, there is anger? So if lack of acceptance is causing anger, the solution is?
Acceptance.
Accept people the way they.
Now, what is the problem with acceptance?
होता नहीं है acceptance.
So there are two parts of acceptance. That's a problem. One is a lot of people think of acceptance as resignation. हम कुछ कर नहीं पाए तो हमको मानना पड़ा. That's not acceptance. That's resignation. Resignation would eventually make you feel helpless. Resignation takes your choices away. Acceptance, on the other hand, increases your choices. What do I mean by this? Let's say I am in a situation. Anyone who would like to give an example?
What did you say? Acceptance would make me, so resignation would make me helpless. Acceptance would make me?
Acceptance will give you more choices.
More choices.
I think when you accept, then what is the solution? You're not waiting for the other person to change or make an effect change, and you are moving forward. Wherein if you're constantly waiting for you resigning, you are helpless because the other person is where they are, not changing. So in midst of that, you're losing out on so many other things. So you're not making the right choice because you're so hurt and so resentful, and that's sort of creating a poison within your own body. So,
okay. So
when I accept people the way they are, it's in my control of how I want to be, whether I want to talk to them, not want to talk to them. It's my choice, what you said.
Okay. But once you've accepted, how do you move ahead? Because that's the challenge that people face. That अच्छा accept तो कर लिया पर उससे situation थोड़ी ना change हो जाएगी. So how do we move ahead from acceptance?
So you have to bring in change within yourself.
And what would that change be?
Thoughts.
So before we come to thoughts, because in order to create a change in thoughts, I need to know what my objective is. So when we accept the situation, sorry, Sunita ji, आप कुछ बोल रहे थे?
I said to buy peace or be in comfort within myself. For that, I have to need to change I cannot give जैसे मैं अपना रिमोट कंट्रोल किसी को नहीं, it's in my hand how to be happy or be at peace with myself.
Perfect. So before you do that, you have to decide what will give you happiness, which means as I accept myself, as I accept the person, I also need to accept myself. I can't be accepting other at the cost of me.
Yeah.
Now, once I've accepted myself and the other person, I recognize I want something else, they want something else. Right? Now, my options are, I can't change them. So my options are, one, is it really important what I want, the specific thing that I'm looking for? Or can I do without it? Which is one. Second option is what I want, I really want because it's important for me. Then do I want to continue in this situation? So let me give you an example to explain this.
Okay, in that relationship thing, right?
Correct. So let's say, just a second, my video is, yeah. So let's say you have a, what should I take, relationship or office?
Both relationships. Whatever.
Chalo, relationship. Okay. So let's say I am someone who's very meticulous, who wants everything to be organized. Okay. And my partner is more free flowing. Right. Now I want my partner to put everything at its right place. And I've explained it to my partner once, I've explained it to her twice, I've explained it to her thrice. And every time I explain it to her, we end up having a problem. We end up having a fight. And she's telling me, I don't interfere with your organized things. Why do you want to interfere with my unorganized things? I like it that way. Right? Now, because I know that she's not willing to listen, what are the options that I have? One is, I say, all right, so she doesn't need to be organized. She doesn't want to be organized. Is she interfering with my area of work? Let's say the answer is no. Then is it really that important for me? If the answer to that question is no, now I'm going to relook at, is it in my interest to let go of that expectation because the relationship overall is giving me a lot?
So
if it is,
pros
then
and cons.
correct, then I'm making a choice. I'm saying कि ना, I have an option, either I can leave this relationship, but yaar, the mehnat required to leave this relationship and then to come up in the new relationship, and I have no idea whether the new partner will be as organized as I want them to be or not. So it's too much of an hassle. Amount of effort required is very high. Iski jagah to let me make peace with this thing.
Yeah.
Now it's a conscious choice that I'm making, that I want to continue in this relationship because the overall benefits outweigh the one expectation that is not being fulfilled. Correct?
Right.
Now I'm not doing this from a position of helplessness, that मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाया इसलिए मुझे मानना पड़ा. I'm doing it from a position that I could have chosen to do something else, but it just makes sense to be in this situation. So it's more like a cost benefit analysis that I've made and came to
pros
this
and
conclusion.
Right.
Is the idea clear till here?
Yes.
There's also a possibility where, let's say, my partner wants to do something or wants me to do something that it's not acceptable for me at a value level or a moral level. I feel कि नहीं, this I can't agree with. Right? Now they want to do something, I can't agree with that, and no matter what, that's not something that I will make peace with. What options do I have?
quit.
I decide to move on, move out. But that's still a decision that I'm making based on the overall dynamics of what is more important and more useful for me.
So you're weighing the pros and cons.
You're weighing the pros and cons. And based on that weighing, you're coming to a conclusion as to, now that I've accepted myself and my partner, what do I want to do? Do I want to realign my expectations so that they're in sync with what my partner is already capable of doing?
Right.
Because the overall benefits are very high. Or is this one thing so important that it overpowers everything else? If it does, then I decide to move out. Right? Now, the challenge will be when you're working with people, they will tell you, so logically, I want to move out. I can't because I'm financially dependent on my partner. Right? Now your problem is not the partner. Now your problem is not anything else. Your problem is financial dependence. So your therapy actually would revolve around helping the client become financially independent.
Empowered.
Right? There are also places where people would say that, no, I want to move out, but I have kids.
Yeah.
It's for the child's sake that I can't move out. Right? When you actually talk to them more and more, they can again plan their exit from a relationship in a way in which it works for them and the child both. It's just that they need to be able to think on those lines. But before you ask them to think on any of those lines, they have to make a decision. Do they want to continue or do they want to move out? And this decision can only be made by the client. Is this clear till here? All of you? Anita, you have mentioned I have a doubt. Can you please share the doubt?
Yeah. So now that you're saying that about the financial dependency, I want to leave. I know it is logical to leave, but because of certain things, I want to stay back. But I have clients not in a marital relationship, but in a date, saying that I know this is a very toxic relationship. He hits me, he doesn't respect me, and all those things. But I still attached to him. So that is keep holding them back.
So my question would be, would you still want to remain attached to a person like this? And the answer could be yes or no. I'm not saying that the client has to move out. That decision is not mine. If a client tells me my partner beats me up, but I want to still feel comfortable in the relationship in a way in which I can at least minimize my contribution to that problem, I can help the client do that. I'm being very it might sound as if you don't care for the client, but I care for the client, and therefore I don't want to make the decision for them. That decision has to be theirs. It's their life. I am not living their life. I can't make the decision for them. So if a client comes and tells me I want to be in a relationship, so okay, so to give you an example, though we are going on the relationship dynamics right now, but still to kind of close this particular interaction. I had a client who came and told me I have a partner who has an affair. I know he has an affair. He treats me abusively. Okay. But I want to give this relationship a try. And I asked her, what do you mean by give it a try? She said, I still have hope that he would change. I asked her, what gives you that hope? She says, no, he tells me that there are certain aspects of my behavior that really bother him, because of which he becomes abusive. So if I'm able to change those aspects of my behavior, then probably things would be better. So I asked her what those behaviors are. She gave me the list of the behaviors. I asked her, do you agree that you need to change this behavior? So the idea is, it obviously, I understand that your partner wants you to change this behavior, but do you agree with your partner that this change in behavior will be in your interest overall in your life, not just with respect to the relationship? She says, yes, these are behaviors that I am also concerned about. I want to change. Now, she is actually asking me to help her change her behaviors while she chooses to remain in an abusive relationship, in a hope that the partner would become less abusive. Right? What do you do?
Equip her with the skills to change that behavior.
So what I did was I asked her.
As the client.
Can you say that again? Someone was saying something. Sorry.
Yeah. So I help the client. The client wants to work with.
Perfect. So what I actually do is this. I tell the client that, all right, tell me the behaviors. Let me help you change those behaviors. Let me help you develop the required skill. After you have developed the required skills and you've changed your behavior, how much time do you think your partner would still require for them to notice this change so that things can start improving? The client told me that at least 6 months I want to give them after that. Fair enough. And after 6 months, if they notice that change and they are able to change, that's brilliant. What if they're still not changing? What would you do then? And the client says, if I've made all of these changes and I've given them 6 to 9 months, and after this, that person doesn't understand, then I don't care. I would rather move out. So what I've done is I've actually helped the client go along with what they've told me, help them change that behavior. But I've also given them something to keep in mind, that how long do you want to wait? Because this can't be in perpetuity. right? They decide a time frame, and then we see what happens after the time frame. Is the idea clear?
I will ask you one thing. It's like,
Absolutely.
do you give them that much time?
I do. So what I actually do is, with this client that I'm talking about, she told me 6 months. I told her today what is the date. She gave me the date. I told her what will be the date after 6 months. She gave me the date. I told her after 6 months at what time would you make that decision during the day. मतलब I need the hour. कि इतनी बजे तक अगर उसने नहीं notice किया तो फिर I would know that he will not be able to notice.
Concretize here.
She told me रात को 12 बजे तक I want to wait. I said fair enough. So what I want you to do is put an alarm in your phone 6 months down the line for 12 o'clock right now. She puts an alarm, and I tell her at 12 o'clock when this alarm rings, you would know that the time frame is gone by. On the day after the 6 months are over, you are going to get in touch with me and let me know what happened. Okay. And in my calendar, I put an alarm, and I put an alarm that 6 months one day, I have to just send her a reminder message asking her what happened. Clear? She decided to move out after 6 months. Okay. Any questions on this now? No. So the challenge that would come after this is the client would tell you, all right, so I want to accept. पर अभी भी ना मैं चिढ़ जाता हूँ. मतलब while intellectually I have understood कि मुझे accept कर लेना चाहिए. But वो intellectual understanding is not translating into emotional response. Emotionally, I still get frustrated. Right? That is where your skills as practitioners come in. So when you are working with clients, your skill is not for them to understand what needs to be done. वो तो ठीक है, वो आप probably एक session में कर दोगे. Your actual skill is to help the client change their thoughts and their emotions so that once they know what needs to be done, they are able to do it most effectively. They can do it without any internal conflict. So if they tell you that every time I look at my partner, I want to slap them, but I remind myself कि नहीं नहीं यार उसकी मर्जी, I have to accept myself. That's not change. That's suppression. Eventually it will burst out somewhere or the other. Right? So you want the clients to be able to not just tell you what is the change. Your work is to help them create that change effortlessly, as effortlessly as possible. Okay. And that's where we'll go back to the thought restructuring and the emotional process that we'll talk about as we go ahead. But is the idea clear?
Yes.
Okay. So going back to the flip. When situations are responsible for the problem, we feel helpless. We feel helpless because
The situation are not in our hands.
You feel incapable, no skills.
correct, because we feel incapable. We feel that the situation is not in our hand. So I don't have the ability to handle the situation the way it is. Now, if lack of skills or lack of ability is causing helplessness, what is the solution?
Skill development.
And in order to develop skill, you will need to take some steps. For that, you will need yes. And why do we feel afraid of the future?
Unknown.
Because future is unknown, because it's uncertain, which means a lot of people who feel anxious about their future actually have not done even the basic planning that is required to be done for future. So if a client comes and tells you I'm anxious about my future, your first question is, so can you tell me what are your plans for the future? And if the client says मैंने plans तो बनाए नहीं है, then obviously the chances they'll be uncertain is very high, right? They have no reference point to check what they want to do in their future. So that's the first step, to help them create that plan. There is obviously a possibility where a client would say, I've created a plan, but I don't think whether things will go as per my plan. And that's what makes me anxious. So what they are now saying is, I have the plan, but I don't have faith that things will happen as per my plan. And if things don't happen as per my plan, I don't have the confidence that I would be able to find a way around it. So then what is your solution?
Realistic goals, plan.
Realistic goals help them develop faith and help them develop confidence.
Confidence.
Short-term goals.
Short-term
Maybe to
goals.
start with.
Yeah,
So
short-term goals.
correct. So you can start with short-term goals, but even in short-term goals, you may have to separately work with confidence. Clear till here?
Yeah.
Now, the model is actually very simplistic and it is very logical. Almost every client that you will come across agrees with the model. The advantage of using this model is, one, I have already given the client examples of the emotions. Right? So if the client was not able to define the emotion, they'll be able to pick the emotion from here and put it over there. Second, they've also understood what is the possible outcome. Is this clear till here for all of us?
Yeah.
Even like in future, we are in the future, in the flip side, because there is fear of loss, which is again is not your hand, correct?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Fear of loss is
Okay.
not in your hand.
Hmm.
Okay, that creates a major anxiety. Okay, so there are some things which you have in your hands which you can develop the ability and skills, right? When you say plan for the future, when one is anxious about the future, but I don't have a plan and to make a plan, right? That's what you said. But when I don't have it's not about the future, but it's about the future about, like a loss of a parent, for instance, or, something which is fearing sickness all the time, how does one deal with that then? How does one make a...
The same thing. So when a person says that I'm afraid of being sick, right? The question is, all right, tell me one thing. If I were to have a sneeze or a cold, do I become, am I afraid of that cold? Generally, no.
Oh, yes. Now, yes.
Now,
Maybe
yes.
the cord.
Now, yes. But generally, no. So in fact, cold is a good example. Till COVID came up, the same cold did not really create fear in people. Right? But today it does. Why?
Because of COVID.
So the problem is not of the cold. The problem is I am afraid of the consequences of the cold. And the consequences, I think, have a potential to interfere with my life. Now, if I knew that whatever ifs and buts I will have, let's say I'll fall sick someday, but I have it planned. Taki I have enough time to be able to recover and go back to whatever I was doing, and things will not stop because of me falling sick. Then will I still be as anxious or as afraid as I was earlier? No, right? So today, when I spoke about anxiety in the morning, I was working with this client and I asked him that what about COVID makes you anxious? So he said, what if I catch the same? And I said, all right, so what if you catch the same? What will happen? He says, what if my body is not able to, my immunity is not able to handle that? And I asked him, so what needs to happen for you to be comfortable, even if you were to catch COVID? He said, then my immunity has to be strong. I said, brilliant. Can we work on that? He said, yes. So COVID was not the problem. The fear that my immunity is not strong enough to deal with COVID is where the problem was. Right? Similarly, when people talk about loss of parents, so there are two aspects to it. One is obviously the emotional loss, right? But for example, I am not living with my parents right now, right? I speak to my parents like once in I speak once every day, more or less. But most people that I know of generally have a conversation with their parents like once in a week, or some people generally have a conversation like जब उनको काम होता है, उनके parents को काम होता है. So maybe once in a month. So it's not that you are missing them because you are still not with them, and that's not really where the fear is coming from. The fear then comes from the fact that probably I would not get a chance to meet them ever again. Right? So there you probably have to work with something else so that they can work with their thoughts and realize it, well, you know, while they're here, at least I can connect with them on a daily basis, if nothing else. So the anxiety is generally about the consequence. It's not about the object. And that consequence is our perception, because it's not really happened. It's something that will happen in the future. Are we all clear till here?
Yeah.
Which basically brings us back to faith and confidence. That I have the faith that things will be fine. And if things are not, even if something goes wrong, I have the ability to deal with whatever happens. This is the reason why I'm such a big fan of hypnosis, because it just makes my life so much more easier. Helping someone change their emotional state. Okay. It can be so much more easier with hypnosis. Otherwise, you have to like really sit with the client and you have to really talk about things and you have to help them rationalize things. You can also help them rationalize with what we are doing. But it's just that the transition in the process is a lot faster.
Oh.
Okay, coming back to what we are doing right now. Are we good till here?
Yes.
Yes? Is
Yeah.
the flip model clear for all of us?
Yeah.
Nitin, hi.
Hey.
So with the flip, we have to explain the entire model, even if we ask them the source, okay? If we are asking the client the source and they are only stuck to maybe I and say others, okay? Any two, say, they not mention all the four sources, which are actually the four sources. Do we have to even talk about the other two sources, or we just stick to what we are feeling in the very moment?
No, I would actually speak about the all four. The reason for
Okay.
that is that it gives me a brilliant opportunity to make the client realize that eventually every problem that they may have will fall within this bracket and there's a solution for every problem,
Okay.
right? Which is one.
Run through the entire thing.
Can you say that again, please? Sorry.
So we have to run through the entire.
You have to run through the entire.
All four.
All four.
Okay.
Second, do not contextualize the model to the client's problem. So let's say the client has said, I feel very bad about my parents not listening to me when it comes to my career. Okay. When you're going through the model, don't tell them. So when you say about my parents not listening to me, that becomes a part of the others. Because then you're personalizing it for them. Don't. When you use the flip, use it like the neutral model being explained to people, saying कि सबके साथ ही होता है. And actually वो सबके साथ ही होता है. उसके अंदर कुछ भी बहुत unique नहीं है. It's just that it's presented in a way in which when the client hears it, the client feels, makes sense. This is right. And once they say it's right.
Generic examples for them to understand this better.
Correct. You can give generic examples. So for example, I gave you the example for the husband and wife in the anger wala. You can give examples for each of those situations. For the guilt, for anger, for situations, and for future. Right? But give them neutral examples. Don't give them examples that come from their life. Otherwise, they will get into an argumentative mode. Because there they feel कि आप मुझे समझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो. यहाँ पे we are saying this is a generic model, works for everyone, and it's logical enough for you to agree with that. The advantage is the moment the client agrees with it once, you can keep use it for the client's lifetime. I have clients who after years give me a call to talk to me about another set of problems. And when they talk to me, my first question to them is, remember flip? And they say, wo I others wala. I say, correct. So where is the source of the problem? With what you have just told me? Let's say the client says, others. Uska solution, emotion kya tha? Anger. Solution kya tha? Acceptance. Would you be able to do it? If the client says, no, I would not be able to. So I say, all right. So what is difficult for you to accept? Now I have bypassed the entire discussion. I've just directly come to the end. Right? And I've had clients who have told me, yeah, good, you reminded me. I know what I need to do. Thank you. And they cut the phone. And then they obviously give me a call after some time and they tell me, yeah, I've been able to apply it and this is what is happening. So it's just that once they agree with the model, you can keep using it again and again every time the client wants to, has a problem and they want to work with you.
Great. Thank you.